some of them are, I guess, kind of funny. There's, we had to do this. SpaceX had to do the study to see if Starship would hit a shark, and I'm like, it's a big ocean, there's a lot of sharks. It's not impossible, but it's very unlikely. We said, okay, fine, we'll do the analysis, and then, well, can you give us the shark data? They're like, no, we can't give you the shark data. We're like, okay, well, then we're in a bit of a quandary. How do we solve this difficult, this shark probability issue? And they said, well, we could give it to our Western division, but we don't trust them. And I'm like, am I in a comedy sketch here? So eventually, I think we got the data, and we could run the analysis to say, like, yeah, the sharks are going to be fine. But they wouldn't let us proceed with launch until we did this crazy shark data, and then we thought, okay, now we're done. And they said, but what about whales? I'm like, when you look at a picture of the Pacific, what percentage of the surface area of the Pacific do you see as whale? Because I look at a picture, I don't see any. It's like, you can't. Where's a whale? And honestly, if the ship did hit a whale, it's like, honestly, that whale had it coming, because it's like the odds are so low. It's like Final Destination, the whale edition. It's like fate had it in for that whale,
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show, and that's on the For Liberty Network. Did you watch our other shows last night? Culturama. Thursday nights are Culturama and Liberty Tonight, and we got so much more fun in store for you. We're cooking up so much behind the scenes over here at the For Liberty Network. You wouldn't believe it. I'm so excited to have two guests on the show today. One in studio, our first in studio guest that's not family. And of course, since it's Wednesday, what do we say on Wednesday? We say it's big brain time. Judge Andrew Napolitano will be joining us live this morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. And then after that, what are we going to talk about? Austin, what are we going to talk to the judge about? We're going to talk to the judge about government by experts and how Trump is dismantling all of that. After that, the Department of Government Efficiency. Do we need them on the state levels? Check. Do we have people working on it here in the state of Missouri? Check. Do we have people trying to accomplish that in their local communities, i.e. the county that I live in, Cole County, Missouri? Check. We do. Glenn Reynolds, he is the VP of the local GOP, and will join us ASAP. 8:30. That's Central Time. Yeah, bye guys. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. Floby Tenderson, Bruce Burtwhistle, Dad Bod Baboon, Barney Styles, a very fiery Waco, joins us alongside Kermode Bear, Cecilia H., Robbie Thurman, Brad Beckman, another local boy, as Ashley Ann and LW78 sit aside. It's a beautiful day in America because the good guys are in charge. And no, they're not perfect, but are they making America great again? Yes. So far, so good. Living in America. It's a good day to be an American. It's a bad day to be a Canadian or a Mexican. It's a bad day to be Joy Reid, who's Canadian and Mexican. No, or so I'm told. Just kidding, just kidding. No, that's Elizabeth Warren now. She's no longer Native American. She is Canadian and Mexican. No, just kidding. Joy Reid out at MSNBC. And for some reason, we're still talking about this a day later, but it's because all of the clips and the funnies that are coming out are just, they continue to crack me up. And Rachel Maddow over at MSNBC just had almost her entire staff axed. I know we're not, I see that the tone policing The hall monitoring is going on over this morning about us enjoying and bathing in delight. In the tears of unfathomable sadness are delicious. I see that we're being tone policed this morning by some on the right who said, "Oh, we shouldn't celebrate people losing their jobs." And it's like U.S. aid workers were being walked out the exit yesterday. The video came out of the U.S. aid workers, and there were actually, this is Washington, D.C., of course, so I thought there might be protesters, people like, get out, but no, they actually had people who were there saying, U.S. aid, we're so glad to have you there, like the most pitiful protest that I'd ever seen, astroturfed, and probably the families of the employees of the people who are getting fired over there. But these are people who celebrated not only getting us fired from our jobs during COVID-19, but these are people who, they want us dead. The left wants us dead. They want to kill us. They hate us. They're racist against us. There's a reason why they've lost the elections. Nobody wants to be a Democrat anymore. Except for just awfuls, affluent white female liberals, and of course, Joy Reid and the propagandists who are on the take. When it comes to the Democrats right now, all there is left is just the moneyed interests. There's no movement. There's no movement on the left. I think Andrew Schultz said, says that, he was talking about Joe Biden. He said, Joe Biden said, Andrew Schultz talking about Joe Biden said, and Andrew Schultz is a comedian. He said, Joe Biden's got no merch. No merch. And it's a joke. It's funny. Everybody laughs because it's true. Guess who does have merch? Me, AP. I'm wearing it today, too. My government is scary tee. Isn't that beautiful? This is great because it's a funny shirt in general, but it's perfect for Halloween. We're going to have a great show today, guys. We're going to be talking to Judge Napolitano. We got Glenn Reynolds on set and in studio. First time letting somebody into my house here. And Glenn Reynolds is going to join us and sit here at my desk. And he gets to marvel at all my incredible merch. My Javier Milei desk pad, my beautiful Government is Scary t-shirt, my Calvin the Coolest President children's book written by me and Stephanie. What other merch? My Gulf of America 20-ounce tumbler. And where can you find these wonderful toys? Well, you can find them at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4, libertyshop.com. Do it! So why are we talking about Elon Musk comedy tour? Well, apparently somebody said their community members, which is like mostly feds over at Washingtonian Problems, one of their community members had sent this in to the Office of Personnel Management. So this is HR. This is a federal employee responding to HR. Here's what they responded. Now, I have to warn you, if you see it on screen because you're watching it live or you're watching it, that you obviously can tell that they're bad words and nasty, nasty talk on the screen right now. So I haven't said the nasty talk. I'm going to try and censor it the best I can for those who are listening, but I try and respect those who have children with them in the morning and just give you a little, it's only going to be for like 20, 30 seconds and then you can turn it back up. Here was one of the responses from a Fed to HR. This is to their boss. Now, these are people that are like, remember, we're being told, don't cry over these people leaving. Now, that would be mean. Don't you respond in kind. These are shouldn't you? We're being tone policed. Remember, people are out there actually saying to us, people who claim to be on our side, are saying to us right now, don't you be happy about this publicly now. People are losing their jobs. It's bad for the economy. No, these are the people who didn't give a shit. These are the people who fired us during COVID-19 and they danced on our graves and they celebrated shutting down our businesses. But don't you dare feel a profound sense of glee or giggle behind your mustache, Austin. Your mustache is looking very giggly. Yes. So here's what a Fed wrote to the Office of Personnel Management. Hi, wanted to email what I did last week in detail. Please let me know if you need more information. I S'd the biggest D. Seriously, it was 12.3 inches. I measured. Got F'd by said D. Best sex of my life, and will be going back for more. 3, ate a man's poo-poo, but he said he wasn't gay, so it's fine. Decided to F myself with your BS and came. Sincerely, go F yourself. Elon reposted it and said, we said 5 items, and that's only 4. It's a beautiful morning. Are you not entertained? I mean, that's some funny stuff. Elon is a genuinely funny guy.
And so we have to do the whale analysis. And it's like, okay, yeah, the whales will be fine too, you know? It goes on. And then there's like, well, what if the rocket goes underwater, then explodes, and then the whales have hearing damage? Like, this is real. This is actually, and we're like,
I believe
look,
it.
if we could make a rocket go underwater and be a submarine, that would be like a feat of physics we could not accomplish, okay? This is not how it works. So anyway, just one like crazy thing after another, where you know, so this is why I'm like really feeling the pain of the overregulation.
You love to see it, aren't we all? Aren't we all feeling the pain of overregulation? Rachel Maddow's staff to be let go as part of MSNBC overhaul. Don't laugh. Don't you dare laugh. I'm going to tone police. I'm going to hall monitor you. Stop having fun. You're supposed to be upset at what's happening in this country right now. This is very serious business. There's treason that is happening right now. Rachel Maddow's staff is being let go. Joy Reid is being canceled. How many bodies have we got since the election? It's been a little over 30 days, over a month into the administration. How many leftists have we lost? We have won a great many battles. The trophies, like the scalps, I want Joy Reid's wig. I want Joy Reid's wig on this set. That's my trophy, damn it. I want that head. I want my scalp. Give me my scalp.
Question I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anal by his adult family member. So you have pedophilia. In what context is a strap-on acceptable for public school? That's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You
the
just
name of the
remembered
author
very
doesn't
specific things.
Joy.
Here's my
We're
question.
talking about
Here's my
strap.
question.
You didn't answer my question.
No. What I'm saying to you is that as you are not an expert in this book,
I don't have to be an expert to know that those aren't appropriate for public school. I mean, come on, let's get real.
This is a full context story, as you said, of the
full
author's
context story
experience.
of
why is it
rape
your
and
right
incest
or Moms for
pedophilia.
Liberty activists' right to say that a parent who wants their child to have access to this book, which gives a personal experience of this author, why doesn't a liberal parent, for instance, or a parent of an LGBTQ kid, why don't they have a right for their child to just have access to this book? Why is it your right to say they can't?
So, again, we're talking about
and each parent, each parent has to decide what is appropriate for their child to read.
Right.
What is your right to tell a parent who wants their child, who might feel seen by this story, why don't they have the right? Why don't they have the right as a parent to say, my child can have access to this book?
If a child feels seen by this story, that means that they have been the victim of a predator. That means that they have either been by a family member, they've experienced
and your proof of that is what?
You just said that if a child feels
that?
seen by this story.
That's why I'm happy that people will no longer be subject to those types of opinions.
But here's the thing. People who say I'm celebrating, they're going to be like, oh, it's a white guy, white tears. This guy should not be celebrated. You know, AP, you're terrible. You're childish for supporting. Here's the thing. Let me just run cover here. I'll get cover run for me by our friend Rob Smith, And here's why he is glad that Joy Reid was fired.
Let's talk about how absolutely terrible Joy Reid has been to Black Republicans and Black conservatives. This person basically led online hate mobs against every major Black conservative figure, called Black Republican Senator Tim Scott Uncle Tim online. Okay, obviously she was trying to make a play on Uncle Tom. So when that was trending, Joy Reid not only hopped into that, but elevated that.
Ooh, we'd be struggling here with the internets.
As well. She had Byron Donalds on her show to try to bully him, to try to speak over him, to try to make him look stupid.
That's actually not an internet speed issue, if you can believe it. That's actually a computer speed thing, and it's my fault. Hold on. Let's see if I can fix.
She has used her platform on MSNBC to bully, denigrate, and smear and lead online hate mobs against every major prominent Black Republican figure in American politics. This is who Joy Reid is. I have no sympathy for this
she's an
person.
activist.
I have no sympathy for her tears. I hope that there are many more of them, because when you are a Black person and you use that platform to denigrate, bully, and smear Black people just because they are Republicans, just because they are Trump supporters, you are not for Black people. You are not pro-Black people. You are a token for your white liberal masters. You Democrats love to say this. Tokens get spent, and you have just been spent by MSNBC. Let's talk about how...
Get her, Rob. Get her, Rob. So the word on the street from the left is that Joy Reid, of course, was canceled because she was Black. Here's Megyn Kelly, media expert, breaking that down.
We just pulled the ratings from Thursday night. On Thursday night, this is in the 25 to 54 demo. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Like, truly, when I was at Fox, a bad night in the demo would be in the threes, 300 and change. But it was often 600,000, 700,000 and change. In the demo, those are now the overall numbers, the total audience numbers on a great number for most of cable news.
What is the demo? The demo is the demographic, and those are the people who are most likely to spend money on advertising. So when they're talking about the demo, we're talking about people like 25 to 54. Whenever I do advertising online, I always set my age from 25 years old to like 55 years old, because that's the demo. Because people who are younger than 25 don't have money to spend on ads. People who are older than 55 either can't spend money on products, or they won't spend money on products because they just tend to be thrifty, you know. And that's the demo. So 600,000 to 700,000 on a bad night in the demo at Fox. And now we're talking about MSNBC. Here's what they have total.
Here's her demo number from Thursday night. 59,000. She was 4,000 away from Slashy's, which is 9,000, which is 50,000. She was 59,000. That's what she got in the overall demo. She lost to her competitor on CNN, who had 104,000. Lost to Laura Ingraham, who had 389,000. Lost the whole ratings race inside MSNBC, where their great white hope, Jen Psaki, who's taking over now at 9.
I love that she calls her great white hope.
This is all part of a reshuffling. She got 65,000 in the key demo. 65. That's okay. That's their future.
65,000 people watching the Jen Psaki show, the one that they're now starting to pivot to for their network. That's their strategy. 65,000 people watch Jen Psaki's show who are in the demographics. 65,000 people is like, that's like the top, some of the top shows on Rumble are easily out competing that. Sometimes I'll have shows on the Wake Up America show. Sometimes some of my podcasts will go viral. They'll pop off. And I will have 65,000 views of a show.
Rachel Maddow, she's their big star for $30 million a year. All you have to pull is 144,000 in the demo, which I think is what we got. Like maybe
I like that Victor Davis Hansen's sitting there with his Apple earpods in and his like 1940s fedora.
overnight at 3 a.m. during a weekend program lineup at Fox. 144,000 now earns you $30 million a year on MSNBC. And then the next lowest, after Reed and Psaki was Stephanie Rule with 88,000. Lawrence O'Donnell got 103,000.
There's no way that network is going to need cash infusion after cash infusion after cash infusion. Here's the average Joy Reid viewer.
Black people, the insurrection, racism. Black people, the insurrection, racism. Black people, the insurrection, racism.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. We're glad and thankful to have you here. Click that like button, and if you haven't already, share the feed, share the stream out onto your social feeds. You click the like button, click the share or follow if you're on Rumble, and we'd love to have you be a regular guest on the Wake Up America show. I see Michael Fisher is back today. What's up, Michael? I'm glad that you like hanging out with us.
Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice.
The Wake Up America show brought to you by viewers and listeners just like you. It's 7:25 a.m. Central Time here in Jefferson City, Cole County, Missouri. We've got two excellent guests coming up for you in the second hour. At 8 a.m. Central Time, we're going to talk about dismantling the government by experts. Government by experts as the topic with Judge Andrew Napolitano. We about to get big brain time up in here. 8 a.m. Central Time. And I think the judge will have an announcement for you today as well. Fun little thing to share. At 8:30 a.m. Central Time on the Wake Up America show, we're going to speak to Glenn Reynolds. And Glenn is going to join us live and in studio as our first outside the family, inside the studio guest. We'll see how that goes. Looking very good and very nice. If you are new to the Wake Up America show and you aren't subscribed to the channel, please do click that subscribe button and be a regular guest. Become like Michael Fisher, who is reaching godlike status. Michael Fisher joins us over on YouTube this morning, and he said to himself yesterday, wow, the Wake Up America show is so good, I'm coming back for another day. Well, we look at you, Fisher King, and we say, you hoo-hoo, they ought to be like you, hoo-hoo. They'll walk like you, talk like you, watch like you. It's the Wake Up America show where Jungle Book references. It's the only podcast you're going to get Jungle Book references in. You hoo-hoo, I want to be like you, hoo-hoo. The Wake Up America show is a freedom-loving, pro-American, pro-Trump show. I wasn't always a pro-Trumper. I was outside the party. I wasn't even a Republican. I was a libertarian for, God knows, 10, 11 years. I was a member of the Libertarian Party. I ran for president of the United States in 2016 as a libertarian, took second place behind Governor Gary Johnson in that election, ran for the U.S. Senate, joined the Republican Party, and ran for U.S. Senate in 2018. That was the Josh Hawley-Claire McCaskill election. Josh Hawley is now our senator. And I started the For Liberty. I did radio for a few years here in Jefferson City, Missouri, and then started my own podcast and podcast network. That's the For Liberty Network, and you're watching it right now. It's all the bare necessities, Mother Nature's recipes. Thank you, L-Dubs. We appreciate you. Ooda lolly, ooda lolly. Use the force, Robin Hood. The Wake Up America show is a fun, funny, 2-hour, 5-day-a-week morning show. It's a live stream, and we are your destination listening in the mornings, hanging out with us, especially at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. But there are a few who like stragglers on the other platforms. I do recommend that people watch the show. It's best at rumble.com/AP for Liberty, because then you get to hang out with our very special VIPs like Entropy Nomad, a big supporter of the network, Fiery Waco, who's just come out of nowhere like a bat out of hell. To sex and drugs and rock and roll. You get to hang out with Floby Tenderson. Don't give me that face, Floby. I don't give me that J.D. Vance face. Ashley Ann as well, the lovely Ashley Ann. Quite a hottie, I'm told. Should Crenshaw be expelled for his comments? Answer, yes, absolutely.
No, God! No,
I know what you're going to say.
please, no!
Quantum Kitty, the lovely Kilsharian, she was on vacation and we missed her, and don't you dare ever do that again. Vacation is for communists.
But it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Nelson65, so many friends joining us over in the chat that you can't resist clicking the follow button at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. Joel Lettamore joins us. Oodalolly, diolly all of the way. Oh, come on, internet.
All right.
No, can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Here's what I got to do. I'm going to have to refresh. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to a quick little commercial break, guys. Don't go away. I'm just going to refresh my browser so that I can give you guys all the clips that you deserve, because we got another 30 minutes to go, and I got a lot more clips to share with you before we get to the judge. And Glenn Reynolds, don't worry, I'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP4Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at ap4libertyshop.com. Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
All right. It's a sad moment for the show. Joy Reid is out. Of course, we're heartbroken, for she provided this show with more material than a seamstress at The View. On slow news days, Joy was always there to help with a racist rant. Oh, I loved her. Remember these golden oldies?
We do have a fascist groundswell in parts of this country, mainly among white men. What they're saying is we own this country and everyone will bow down to us.
In America, there's a thing about both white vigilantism and white tears, particularly male white tears.
Now, I don't like to use hyperbole, but Joy's firing is the biggest blow to racists since the Confederacy lost. Because not only did cable news lose a bigot, but the bigot herself might finally get the round-the-clock care that she really needs. But you got to wonder how she was able to last this long. The irony, of course, is in her name, for did Joy bring any joy to anyone's life? No. Oh, I didn't know this was a call and response show. But think about it. I'm willing to bet no one ever said, you know, I was going through a tough period in my life, and listening to Joy Reid really got me through it.
All right, vibe check, guys. Have you ever gone through a tough period in your life in the last few years and felt like AP and the Wake Up America show ever got you through it? Then drop those rumble rants. I feel like I put on a positive show and I get people fired up and get their, your workday started in a positive attitude, try and lead people in a positive and healthy way and, exemplify good values and stand up for what America is all about and also try and make people feel individually special and personal and try and build a healthy community with. So if I've ever lifted you up in the last couple of years, drop a rumble rant. Can be any amount. But let's get them flowing, because what happens is one person starts it and then a bunch of people all kick in. Everybody gather around, open up your wallets, drop your purses, give your credit card information to rumble.com and drop it for us here in the chat, guys. Only if I have made you smile, okay? If at any point in the last couple of years since we started the Wake Up America show, you've been listening to the show and you're like, Austin made me smile, he made me laugh, yes, it's worth something, then drop them rumble rants, okay?
Anything, it was their tough periods in life that got them through Joy Reid. But that's the problem with MSNBC and legacy media.
Joel Lattimore.
Their income was based on making life worse.
Yes.
Instead of focusing on real stuff, they created hoaxes, ones that sowed division and hopelessness.
Correct.
Now, Joy's firing came on the heels of MSNBC's parent company, NBC.
And it was effective, too. You have to understand how effective the mind control virus was. I mean, even people on our side of the aisle, the people on the right, were so black-pilled about the future. I hear so often from people. I remember actually a specific conversation. Thank you guys for all the blessings. Thank you for blessing me with something. That Cecilia, Andy, Mighty Megatron, Steelbringer, appreciate you all. Andy Opperman. I remember specifically a conversation. I was at a little eatery. I was at this place in Jefferson City called the Echo Lounge. I remember this night very well. It was just before the election. We were taking baby Hazel out. It was after karate. Thank you, L-Dubs. Appreciate you, brother. And we're sitting at the table. I'm ordering my cheeseburger. My wife is there, my sweet little baby, and the whole place is packed. And there's this two guys sitting at the bar next to us. And one guy who's sitting at the bar just looks like kind of your average malcontent. He looked like nothing but trouble. And I can't see the man that he's speaking to because his back is to me, but he's sitting there on the corner. And, everybody in Jefferson City pretty much is right-wing. Unofficial music channel, the Pineapple Gang. Thank you, Silent Jonah. Remember, if I've made you laugh or smile at all in the last couple of years, you got to drop a rumble rant. But I remember this ne'er-do-well, we shall call him, and he was sitting at the end of the bar, and he was talking to this fella, and he just goes, Trump's not going to drain the swamp. Yeah, just blackpilling. Thank you, Joni. Thank you. He was just blackpilling, and he was spreading misery loves company. My mom always said that people will try and drag you down out of your happiness. People are energy vampires. You ever seen that, the television show, What We Do in the Shadows, and they have the character that's the energy vampire? People are energy vampires. They will drain on you, right? And the media is part of the reason. It's not the only reason, but there is an innate human psychology. My mother also called this the crabs in a bucket. Taylor Swift said people throw rocks at things that are shiny. This concept of it's Teddy Roosevelt's man in the arena to some extent, right? But I love the way that Ayn Rand put it when she said that people who say it cannot be done should not get in the way of those doing it. Because these people are miserable and they don't want to succeed. Here's the thing. There's a lot. I played the clips yesterday. The people who were upset on the right, who are upset at Donald Trump, they don't. What we found out were the people who were just blackpilled. What Trump's election revealed to us about our own people, the right, is that it showed the difference between people who were just blackpilled and people who were actual grifters. Because think of this. if after the Trump election is over, if after this first 30 days, you aren't convinced that he's our guy doing the best he can to do the right thing for our country, to try and truly make America great again, if you don't have to agree with everything that he does, and certainly I don't, and I've disagreed with him many times, much to my, detriment, but we're headed in the right direction. And if you're on the right and you don't believe that, then something's up. I accuse these people of being grifters, because after the election was over, after the 30 days, even the libertarians were like, free Ross. And then after 3 days, they kind of had to shut up. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Now the best they got is tariffs, which, again, I don't agree with the tariffs, but I mean, the people who are like, they make that, they're like right-wing, they're like libertarians who make that their whole personality, right? These left libertarians, many of them who are like posting these fake, like, libertarians should be thrilled at what is happening right now. Absolutely, gosh darn, it's bonkers that they're not thrilled. Like, I saw this guy, he calls himself a classical liberal. He founded the Liberal Caucus, and he posted this deceptive video online of Elon Musk abandoning his child on stage. And he's like, he's like these fake tears of like, oh, I'm so sad watching this clip of Elon leaving his kid on the stage. And it's just like, and then of course, like a half an hour later, that was a deceptively edited clip. Later, you actually see that he didn't abandon his child at all whatsoever. It's just you saw one little clip out of context. Thank you, Kilsharian. Love the AP family. Wish I could give more. Thanks, guys. Thanks to everyone who's donated. Look how many people I've made smile. If I've made you smile or laugh in the last 2.5 years, you got to open up your wallet. You see, Quantum Kitty, she donated $2. $2 is great. We appreciate that. L-Dubs has the right of it. He says so many of these left libertarians are just more anti-Trump than they are pro-libertarian. It's true. It revealed so much. Trump's first 30 days revealed so much to us about who we really are and who the people who are our allies or who have been claiming to be our allies. I mean, it sure showed who... what's her name? Ashley, the chick, the side chick that got knocked up by Elon Musk. I'm just laughing because I'm reading this story about her, and it says here it is. Ashley St. Clair bragged that she had Elon Musk wrapped around her finger, could get him to retweet anything. Sources. She always kind of wanted to be a kept woman, says the New York Post. Conservative insiders who are known her for years claim she rose to prominence on the backs of fellow members of the movement before casting aside her erstwhile friends in an attempt to become Musk's permanent side piece. Movements are never about one individual, the source added. She just kind of tagged along with it. I don't even know if she's rooted in any conservative type philosophy. I think it's just what made her money. Yes, exactly. Right. So Ashley St. Clair, Smashly St. Clair, yes, Smashly. It's just a perfect example of like we are now revealed. It's like has anybody ever seen The Crucible, the Arthur Miller play turned into the movie, starred by Daniel Day-Lewis, played John Proctor. I played John Proctor in high school my senior year. They did The Crucible for the senior class play, and I did the lead role of John Proctor. And there's this one line where it pissed me off because all my friends would laugh whenever I said it. But you're supposed to be really serious when you say this line. It's a very serious play. But there's this line where John Proctor says that we are naked now. Naked. But it was to say that like these trials, these witch trials, had shown the colonists, had shown the Pilgrims for who they really were. It had shown the Puritans, it had revealed who they actually were. And so in this concept, we are naked now. Naked. Yes. Don't get any ideas, Nelson. Looking at you. The Crucible. Daniel Day-Lewis is a phenomenal actor. Yes, he is. So we are naked now. We are revealed for who we are. We know now. The battle lines are drawn to a certain extent. And I think people are more on the hunt and people are a little bit more aware about the grifters. look at Crenshaw, Dan Crenshaw. Here's a good example, right? Where he comes, Dan Crenshaw on paper is great. At least he was before his voting record sort of took that away, and many of his public statements, of course. But on paper, Dan Crenshaw, if he showed up to a local Republican meeting, we're going to have Glenn Reynolds coming in here today. He's the VP of the local GOP here. And if Dan Crenshaw had showed up to a local Cole County Republican thing and said he's going to run for office, everybody would say, oh, Navy SEAL, missing an eye, veteran, wounded veteran, wonderful, let's put him up there. And he would say all the right things and he would get elected. And then they show who they are after they get elected. It reminds me of this meme that went around like 10 years ago on Facebook where it showed politicians before the election and they look like the Mogwai from the Gremlins movie. And then that shows politicians after they're elected and it shows like the actual Gremlins for their real form. You know what I'm talking about, right? That's politicians. My buddy Mike Opelka, radio guy, fellow radio guy, Mike Opelka actually sent out his daily emails this morning, and what did it say? It says, "Oh, the people who think politicians like you are the same people who think that the stripper likes you as well." Something like that. I didn't memorize it. Hey, why don't you marry me, Bill? Our friend William Albrecht just bought a bag of Gray's Revolt for Liberty. That's the wrong song. Which is the one with the British? What was the song? The Grenadiers, the British. How does the British? Oh, here we go. The first person who can name that song in the chat. The first person who can name that song in the chat correctly is going to get something from me. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's going to be like a keychain or something like that. I'll tell you what, we're going to do a giveaway. The first person who can name that song that I just hummed or whatever, doot-dooted, is going to get a George Washington smoking coin necklace. Team Mill 22 comes here 5 days a week for the wisdom, the humor, and keeping it real. Mighty Megatron, you won. Yes. The British Grenadiers. Mighty Megatron, I need you to send me a text message at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. Give us your name, your address, where to send it. We will send you your gift. You just won a smoking George Washington cone. I wasn't going to do a giveaway today, but you know what? I just felt like it. This is what the colonists were here. The American patriots, when the British were coming over the hill, are kind of intimidating, actually. Hold on, wait till they get to the drums. Okay, you're getting ready. You're packing your musket. It's kind of a beat. Yeah, I'm gonna kill me some redcoats. With a row for the British Grenadiers, heroes of antiquity, they saw a cannonball, or knew the force of powder, so to slay their foes withal. I'm just guessing. Good morning, everybody. Time to wake up. It's the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. It's time, and you're blessing me with something. I see that. I see you over there.
Bless me with something. Oh, God.
Rule Britannia, Britannia, rule the waves, and Britons never, never, never shall be. Speaking of 1776, guys, don't forget that we are going to Washington, D.C. together, all of us, as a group, as a friend group. We're going to Washington, D.C. May 1st through the 3rd, so make sure that you visit forlibertyshop.com and get all of the details for the upcoming trip. The tickets are selling fast. The private dinner is sold out. The exclusive Liberty Tour merch packages are selling. The live recording of the show itself has got people going. We've got a whole 3-day itinerary set up for you, me, and all of our friends going to forlibertyshop.com, getting our tickets. So I turned this down because I had a customer come in, but that whistle blasted scared the crap out of both of us, Ashley and that's funny. Sign of Jonah says, what AP is on is illegal in 48 states and Canada because Cecilia wants what I'm on. See, you just need to have a nice shot of Founding Flavors coffee and a little bit of the drum and fife to get you started in the morning. AP's DC Liberty Tour will be May 1st through the 3rd. That's May 1, 2, 3. 3 days of incredible tour. A little insider information. The best places to eat in the Washington, D.C. area. We're going to Mount Vernon. It's Revolutionary War weekend. And you guys can join me, Steffi, Hazel, and all of our friends. That shouldn't be there. That's sold out. We are going to do a live recording of the show. You can get an upgrade of an exclusive Liberty Tour merch package with items that will not be in the store. You will only be able to get them at the shop. Excuse me. You'll only be able to get them on the tour. The AP DC Liberty Tour is May 1st through the 3rd, and you can get your tickets at forlibertyshop.com. If you are a monthly subscriber, then you get a 20% discount, which saves you a lot of money, buku bucks. And we still have the buy one, get one going on until the end of, I believe, March. And then we will, the last month of before the thing, if you want to come at the last minute, there will be no buy one, get one. Everybody will have to pay full admission price. So it's a good incentive to go now and book your tickets if you haven't. Book your tickets at forlibertyshop.com. It's Revolutionary War weekend. We're going to Mount Vernon. We're going to see George Washington's battlefield tent. We're going to go to my favorite chicken joint in DC. It's delicious. They're going to be doing recreations, battlefield recreations, reenactments at at Mount Vernon. And Quest Fanning, who just joins us now, even though he's late, is here and will be there. You get to meet Quest. You get to meet so many fun people. Cecilia's going to be there. So make sure that you sign up today at forlibertyshop.com. While you're there, get yourself a bag of delicious, patriotic premium tea. Do you guys like the whole Wake Up America show, libertarian podcast with a libertarian merch shop combo? It's working pretty well so far, guys. It sometimes can be a chicken and egg scenario because the bigger the shop gets, the more money it requires to run it, right? All of the licenses and fees and everything that you have on the back end. But I reinvest a lot of what the show earns back into growing the shop and using new tools and using AI to make our awesome graphics and things. So make sure you check out forlibertyshop.com, guys, because all those purchases over there, and of course you can see our audio version of our show as well. The Department of Government Efficiency merch, the Gulf of America collection, our AP DC Liberty Tour, For Liberty Patriotic Premium Tees. Is there another libertarian merch shop out there like ours? No, there isn't. There's just one. It's forlibertyshop.com. It's part of the For Liberty Network. The thunderstruck of the 1770s, Barney Stiles called it. Beautiful. Exactly.
Discussion about joy. There's been a lot of discussion about Joyless Joy Reid. Joyless Joy Reid, her show got canceled. And I don't scoff at anybody.
This is Michael Rappaport, by the way.
In show business, because she essentially is a performer. It wasn't a news show. It was a personal commentary show on a news network, MSNBC. I don't laugh at people losing their jobs, although she's still at the network. But the show itself, the reason why...
She's not still at the network.
Reason why the show got canceled is because people didn't watch. People didn't watch, and I'm sure they ran it up the flagpole. Oh, should we cancel Joyless Joy Reid during Black History Month? They had to stop the financial bleeding. And you people that are complaining about Joyless Joy Reid's show getting canceled, did you watch? I see more people complaining about Joyless Joy Reid's show getting canceled than were actually watching Joyless Joy Reid's show. Okay? You should have been watching the show, and she wouldn't have gotten the show canceled. Okay? So you can comment, complain, post, this, that, and the third on every single blog. You should have been watching the show since you care so much, but you didn't care. You didn't care, and you definitely didn't watch.
Oh, that's Michael Rappaport. And on the right side of the aisle,
the big news tonight will be Joy Reid's final show on MSNBC.
Oh.
Single tear, white woman tears happening right here, Joy. She was officially fired over the weekend because she's a racist, horrible news anchor with no ratings. And that's really been the truth for a long time. MSNBC's under new management, and I guess they decided to come to grips with reality. The truth is, this is very sad news for us, as she's provided so much material over the years. I feel the way I felt when Brian Stelter got fired, but he came back, and you never know. I'm sure Joy Reid will wind up doing something where we will continue to get to respond to her absolutely insane POV. The big news tonight will be Joy Reid's final show on...
Oh, and they're coming for Rachel Maddow, too. The news is that most of her staff has been axed today.
To hear from you that you understand the scale of the threat and you have ideas about how to interrupt what feels like something that we have not experienced since the Civil War in terms of the threat to our republic.
Well, it's certainly the case that we understand the scale of the threat. That can't be doubted. The CBC, which I'm a part of, definitively understands the scale of the threat. Our communities have been under siege, as you pointed out, since before the Civil War. I'm a direct descendant of those very communities, so we understand the struggle, the history, the strength of people like John Lewis, which we're going to channel. That's my experience. That's my personal experience. That's my family's experience. And so we understand that. And as a caucus, it's definitively the case that we understand that. Listen, we launched a rapid response task force and litigation working group. It's going to be led by Joe Neguse and, of course, a brilliant constitutional lawyer, Jamie Raskin, to be able to respond to and work with our allies like Tish James and others in part of what we are responding to. Listen, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, they're flooding the zone in part to create distress, to create a sense of invincibility and inevitability.
And it is invincible, and we are inevitable. Look, it's Timo Obama. All right, Judge Napolitano's waiting for us in the wings, guys. We got to go, but you guys don't have to. You can go. Oh, that's the wrong one. We got it. There we go. That outro button, not the other outro button. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Judge Andrew Napolitano to talk about government by experts and what Trump is doing to end it. We'll talk about that with Judge Knapp. Then Glenn Reynolds in studio. It's going to be a great second hour of the show. Don't go away. Go to forlibertyshop.com. Grab a bag of For Liberty with the British Grenadiers on the Wake Up America show.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Thanks so much for hanging out during the commercial break there. Wednesdays are very special days. We call it Big Brain Time, where we start to talk about the real concepts behind the policies that you see in your government. And that involves philosophy. It involves a philosophy that my next guest and I share, the values of limited government, the principles of the Constitution. So one of these big concepts that I'm excited to talk to my next guest about today is this concept of a government by experts. My friend Jeffrey Tucker wrote a piece in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, and it was talking about the clash of the titans between Trump and the deep state. And he asked whether or not it really is just the bureaucracies are in control. Does the president actually have any power, or does somebody sit him down the day he comes in the White House, show him a picture of the second shooter's angle of JFK and say, you just do what we say and don't make any noise, and we'll get you your money for your presidential library and your best-selling book. So who really is in control? Remember COVID-19? Trust the experts. I am the science. Joining us now to discuss getting rid of a government by experts is an expert on the deep state, the bureaucracy, the Constitution. His name is Judge Andrew Napolitano, and he's joining us live right now for his regular Wednesday spot. Good morning, Judge.
Oh, good morning, Austin. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. The former professor of constitutional law and president of Princeton University and governor of New Jersey, Woodrow Wilson, had this idea that America would be safer, happier, healthier, and more prosperous if we were governed by experts, not by the people we elect, but by experts hired by the people we elect. And that idea began the IRS, the Federal Reserve, the Food and Drug Administration, and the monster government we have today. These are entities unrecognized by the Constitution. You can't even say what branch of government they're in. They're run in secret by faceless and nameless people. They have faces and names, of course, but we don't know what they are. They write their own rules. They enforce their own rules. They interpret their own rules. They have their own judges that prosecute people for allegedly violating the rules, and they assess punishment. These are not federal judges appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate. These are employees of these agencies that put black robes on and are addressed as judge and your honor. And Donald Trump has had enough of this. I wish he would get rid of these things by legislation rather than by fiat and starving them. But they are monstrosities. Justices Thomas and Gorsuch have articulated a similar view in dissenting and concurring opinions. It wouldn't surprise me if someday the entire administrative state is declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. If that were to happen, Austin, 2/3 of the government, federal government, will go away like that.
Judge, Calvin Coolidge didn't do this. Ronald Reagan didn't do this. George Bush, or both Bushes, didn't do this. When you talk about government by experts, I'm reminded of the dictionary. When I go to the section where it starts with the letter P, and I find the word progressive, the dictionary definition, the very first definition is wanting to, are people who are activated and activists centered around the idea that society should be ordered according to scientific principles. You talked about the Federal Reserve. You talked about the income tax. These are progressive ideals, and they came about at the height, or towards the end of you might say, at the end of the progressive era, when Woodrow Wilson enacted the income tax in the Federal Reserve. And all of these bureaucracies, of course, exploded under FDR. But in reality, we have been living in a progressive state since the early 1900s. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it even has a name, Wilsonianism. Madisonianism, the Madisonian version of government, is that the federal government can only do that which is expressly authorized to it in the Constitution. That was pretty much followed, with the exception of Lincoln's dictatorship during the war between the states. Comes Woodrow Wilson and Theodore Roosevelt. And I wrote a book on all this called Theodore and Woodrow, How Two American Presidents Destroyed Constitutional Freedom. TR was as bad as Woodrow Wilson. One was a Republican, the other was a Democrat nominally, but they agreed on virtually everything except they hated each other. Their idea was that the federal government could do whatever there is a national political will to support it, except that which is prohibited. So Wilsonian government is the opposite of Madisonian government. Wilsonian government only knows limits of express prohibitions in the Constitution, like Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Madisonian government is limited by the 16 discrete, unique powers given to the government in the Constitution. However, Madison thought that even that would not be enough to limit it, which is why he and Jefferson supported nullification and secession, the idea that a state legislature or a state court of last resort could nullify a federal statute insofar as its enforcement in that state was concerned, or a state which voluntarily joined the Union could voluntarily leave. That was the check on federal expansion advocated by both Jefferson and Madison. Of course, those checks were destroyed by the bloodshed of 750,000 people during the war between the states. And 2 generations later, along came that racist from Virginia, Woodrow Wilson.
Judge, your book, Theodore and Woodrow, forms the centerpiece of my ideological beliefs about the progressive era. That's why I recommend it to everybody that I know that they read Theodore and Woodrow, because especially people who get into politics who are more green or more new, Judge, they think that there's an ideological difference between Republican and Democrat. They don't know the deeper truths about the ideologies that animate the political parties, because they think that you cannot be a progressive and be a Republican. So therefore, they support anybody who has the letter R after their name. And then we get into trouble because only Thomas Massey and Rand Paul are the people who actually are trying to cut spending, in talks of, like, you're talking about the legislature now, in terms of cuts in spending. People, what we're celebrating now with this latest budget is just increases of cuts and increases to 2036 in terms of the budget and spending. And so one might be confused if they see a Republican voting for these spending bills that continue to explode the deficit and continue to double down on bigger and bigger government, because they think that there's a difference between the two parties. There are not any differences between the two parties at the top. You have always said, Judge, that they are two wings of the same bird, and it's because the spine that connects these two wings, that brings this bird together, is the albatross of progressivism, which hangs around our necks and which Trump is trying to fight. So I guess my next question for you now, Judge, is Calvin Coolidge couldn't do it. Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. The Bushes were uninterested in doing it. Bush campaigned on it, but then turned around after 9/11. The last time I've seen in American history, Judge, civil service reform was under Chester A. Arthur, and the only reason that the only reason he was able to accomplish it, Judge, is because some woman shamed him in a letter, the email of the day. The people, remember when people wrote letters? A woman wrote him a letter and said, "I will hope you will turn away from your wicked ways and your time in the New York Trading House when all your cronies who put you in there. I hope you will actually leave some legacy behind." And he enacted civil service reform, Judge. But ironically, it created civil service protections. The civil service protections that are now impeding Trump from fighting the deep state and fighting the bureaucracy. So my question to you is, Judge, in terms of fighting the bureaucracy, can Trump win this battle? It's illegal for him to win. It's illegal for him to do what he's doing, even though it is morally correct, in my view. Can he win, Judge?
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Trump, there may be a method to Trump's madness, and he may be willing to roll the dice if these disputes get before the Supreme Court. I have been arguing that while he has these majorities in both houses of Congress, he should do legislatively what he's trying to do by executive order, and then there can be no challenge to it. If Congress, for example, has the courage to rescind USAID, it doesn't. Look at the nonsense that was just passed by the House last night with only Congressman Massey voting against it. But Congress needs to have the political will to do what Trump has articulated he wants to do. He can't legally not spend what Congress has told him to spend. He can't legally fail to populate the Food and Drug Administration or the Centers for Disease Control or the EPA, no matter how much he might hate them. But Congress, which enacted all those things, could undo them with simple votes in the House and in the Senate. If you could bring Congress there, I don't know that you can. Congress is filled with fools. Only Thomas Massey votes against this stuff. Everybody else thinks they're doing us a favor by continuing to borrow and spend at a slightly slower rate, as you pointed out, than in previous years, and they claim that's progress. That is not progress. When the government spends more money than it takes in, that causes the enemy that got Trump elected and which will now devour him, called inflation.
Judge, many judges stand in the way of Trump's agenda as well, and are trying, but not through legislative, but through judicial means to disrupt his agenda. And I wonder if you think that he should not ultimately take a page out of Andrew Jackson's playbook, where in Worcester versus Georgia in 1832, Chief Justice John Marshall declared that Georgia's laws over Cherokee lands were unconstitutional, affirming Cherokee sovereignty. Jackson, who supported Indian removal, defiantly said, "John Marshall has made his decision. Now let him enforce it." Should Trump take a page out of the Jacksonian playbook?
No. That's a constitutional crisis when you have two branches of government butting heads like that. You know, even Nixon, who knew what was on those tapes, surrendered them when the Supreme Court upheld Judge Sirica and ordered them surrendered. He surrendered. He respected the system. The public might back Trump, but this would be a terrible, terrible precedent. It would turn the presidency into a prince.
Would you, Judge?
He took an oath to uphold the law, and the law says the final meaning of the law is determined by the courts, not by the president.
Would you, Judge, if you were the president of the United States, would you enact the income tax? Would you enforce the income tax? Would you enforce the 16th Amendment? Would you send out the IRS with their guns to raid people for not paying their back taxes, Judge? Or would you withhold the use of that power if you were president?
I'd probably withhold the use of the power. Assuming I'd be a one-term president. You know, Trump has nothing to lose. He can't run. Although if you talk to him, he thinks there's a way he can run. But he can't run for a re-election. Amending the Constitution requires tremendous national consensus, which doesn't exist at the moment. So he really has nothing to lose when he takes these radical stances. It's easier for him to say, I'm not going to enforce certain laws, like he's already announced he's not going to enforce the laws against bribery of foreign government officials, because he knows it's endemic in foreign countries and American executives should be able to compete with their foreign competitors. Can he do that? Yes. He has what's called prosecutorial discretion. He can tell the Attorney General, this class of statutes, I don't want them prosecuted. I don't want them enforced.
I mean, this is such a great conversation, Judge, and I would go on this for hours, but I do want to get back to the news. I only have you for a certain amount of time, and I have some pressing questions about what's going on with the Epstein client list, what's going on with the JFK files. They're supposed to be released, but it feels like certain people are stonewalling. Apparently, there are still people from the Warren Commission who are alive today, Judge, which I was shocked to learn, but, you know, that's an interesting little factoid. What's going on? Why are we not seeing the files that were promised? They were ordered to be released. The Epstein files are on the desk. What's the holdup, Judge? What do you think?
Well, I don't know who has the Epstein files other than federal prosecutors who were planning to prosecute him before he was murdered in a federal holding facility here in New York City. In terms of the JFK files, I've got to tell you, a friend of mine who has a top secret security clearance tells me he's seen them and there's nothing there. meaning they've been denuded. So the person to ask is Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who was very much in favor of their being released and she's the ultimate authority. She would say to John Ratcliffe, who's the director of CIA who works for her, find those files and release them. I don't know why it hasn't been done, but I expect a major disappointment. Expect to see nothing there. In terms of who's alive on the Warren Commission, I can't imagine who is. I mean, maybe people that worked on the staff are alive. So what? Too bad. We have the right to know what's ever in there. Although, as I said, if my friend is telling me the truth, or if my friend saw the right files, which he believes he did, there's nothing there.
Now, when you say denuded, that's redacted so that if they do release the client list, it's just very little information on there. But I mean, even if it's just Bill Clinton, that would be enormous. One or two names is enough to feed weeks and weeks and maybe months or years of news cycles, Judge. So, I mean, nothing there? And you really think it's nothing?
Well, you're talking about Epstein now. My comments about nothing were JFK. I don't know what's on this Epstein list, and my guess is that it's in the possession of the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, right here in Manhattan, because that was the prosecutor. That was the agency that was prosecuting him at the time of his death. So, if there is a little black book, and if there are names and other identifying markers in there of public officials, I would think the feds, either the FBI or the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, would have it. I don't think you're going to see Donald Trump ordering that released. It would really be up to some Freedom of Information Act request being complied with or not complied with, and then going to a federal court and the courts ordering it released.
What's your JFK assassination theory, Judge? Everybody has one.
The American intelligence community decided after his speech at American University in June of '63 that he had to go, and that they could feed, control, cajole, and please and get pleased by LBJ.
Interesting. And you don't think that these documents will point us in that direction anymore because of their... Oh, did we lose him? There he is.
I'm back. Not sure what happened.
There, sorry about that, Judge. It looks like we're running out of time anyway. We could go down that rabbit hole for hours, Judge. But please give us a sneak preview of what you have on your incredible show, Judging Freedom, viewed by millions of people every month, and your weekly column at judgenap.com, Judge.
I have my tent pole, my highest rated guest, Colonel Douglas McGregor, at 4:30 today. But at 3 o'clock today, I have a person who is one of my heroes, Congressman Thomas Massey.
Oh, wow. Nice, Judge. Good. Tell him to run for Senate, will you please, from me and from all of our friends, to take care of...
I am going to talk to him about the title of our 30 minutes together is called Do We Still Have a Constitution?
Great stuff, Judge. I can't wait to watch that. And will it be live?
Yes, it'll be live on Freedom Watch at 3 o'clock Eastern, and then it will be posted forever whenever you want to stream it on YouTube.
I think that hanging out with me, Judge, has got you reminded of the Freedom Watch days. Watch Judging Freedom, his great podcast on any of your mobile devices. He joins us here every Wednesday to talk about incredible topics. It's big brain time. All rise as he exits. Judge Andrew Napolitano. Have a wonderful day, Judge.
Thank you, Austin. All the best to you, my friend.
You too. Thank you.
Donald's coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1.
Okay. Donald Trump shared that on his actual social media account Trump, Gaza 2025, it's got to be better than this stupid two-state solution. I say sell it all to the president of the United States when he's done with his term as president. Trump, Gaza. Who's in? No more terrorism, just money. And kids being happy. And did you notice there, by the way, and people were noticing as well, the AI images here in this video? Did you note that the dancing girls in Gaza, did you note this? Look here. Do you see how they have beards? So why is it okay to be transgender in Trump Gaza, but it's not okay to be trans here in the United States? Look at see the bearded ladies with their big old boobies? Right here on the beach, Trump, Gaza, 2025. All right, guys, enough jokes. I got to go talk to Glenn Reynolds about the fight for government efficiency on the localest of local levels. He's a VP of the Cole County GOP, where I live. This is politics at its most local. We'll talk to Glenn Reynolds. He'll be in studio when we get back. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Drop some Rumble rants.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Give me all of them. Look. Yeah. See that?
Trump was right about everything. It just came in. Somebody said, I said, this was sent in by a fan. I said, I think we should make some of them, right? But we were pretty much. You want one?
I'll pass.
Are you allowed to take one?
No,
Because
not.
he'll consider it. I know him well.
I'll take one.
He's sort of a stiff.
like
Brian, you're not a stiff. You're sort of a stiff guy. He'll take other things, but not a free hand.
Always say yes to the president. Always say yes to the
Would
president.
anybody like one?
I'll take one. Oh, I've got those, actually, over at forlibertyshop.com. Good morning. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. Good morning, little pineapples. It's a beautiful day in America. Things are looking very good and very nice. Especially you. Especially when you click that like button. And join us 5 days a week. If today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show, we'd love to have you be a regular guest. Mondays through Fridays in the mornings, destination viewing, listening, hanging out with while you're pooping. It's the Wake Up America show, 2 hours, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. That's me, AP, for Liberty. We are the For Liberty Network. So click the follow button before you leave today. If you've been enjoying this content, we just had a great interview with Judge Andrew Napolitano about government by experts. Are we ruled by bureaucrats? It's a great question, but these are big questions. Can we really affect change at the national level? Well, some of us can, but most of us, I think we should turn our jaundiced eyes at our local officials. Here in Cole County, the Republican Party decided to send me to the state convention last year where I was a Trump delegate. Cole County Republicans voted for a libertarian, what? To go to represent? Yeah, it turns out if you actually show up to your local Republican Party meetings, you can affect change. You can get things done. So if you're a lover of liberty, might I recommend you get introduced to your local GOP guy like I did. Glenn Reynolds joining us live here on the Wake Up America show. Good morning, Glenn.
Good morning, Austin. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here, brother.
Well, I am excited, and I got to say that intro clip that you played there of Trump trolling all his people that are messing with him, I love it. I love the troller in chief.
He was trying to give free hats out to members of the press, and they probably, they have a stick up their butt, right? So they definitely. They don't want it, but I don't have the official ones that have his signature on them, but I do have Donald Trump was right about everything hats at my shop. So if people who are watching the show this morning are like, I want a Trump was right about everything hat, they can get ours over at forlibertyshop.com. And when you see that price, you'll be like, oh my God, for a hat. Don't forget, that includes shipping, and our website is beautiful, and you're supporting the freedom movement. Glenn, I'm glad to have you here. I've seen you here, I guess, 2 or 3 times here in Cole County. We have like the monthly Republican Party meeting where everybody meets, and it's a chance to also meet your local officials. A lot of people don't know who their local state rep is, but mine's Rudy Veet. I don't know if yours is Rudy. Or yeah, yours is Rudy too. And it's a chance to actually shake their hands and talk to them and realize that, if you want to have a conversation about the future of your county and where you actually live and own property, or if you own property, then you should show up to your local Republican Party meetings. What do you say?
Absolutely. I think it's a great opportunity. And I started, actually, believe it or not, I wasn't involved in politics up until about 4 or 5 years ago. And I had an opportunity, an individual invited me to come out for the Republican Club meeting. And so I've been attending off and on since then and have decided to move on up. And I'm one of the local elected officials here, too. I'm on the school board and in my local district. And so I will say the Republican Club meeting gives you an opportunity to establish a one-on-one personal relationship with your local representatives, and that's key. Not only do you get the opportunity to speak to them and find out what's going on, but it allows them to associate you with more positive experiences, too. So you potentially have the opportunity to get more words in, so to speak.
Glad to hear it. Looks like we got a feature on rumble.com today. They decided to bless us with something. And I think we must have gotten recommended because we have hundreds and hundreds of people tuning in live right now. Good morning, guys. I'm Austin Peterson. If today's your first time watching the show, this is the Wake Up America show. My in-studio guest is Glenn Reynolds. He's the VP of the local GOP, and he's joining us live today to talk a little bit about efficiency of government on the local level. Cole County, it's kind of like Washington, D.C. in some ways, right? It's kind of Missouri's it's where the government lives to a certain extent. Cole County and like some of the surrounding counties as well, Montauk, and then the rich people live down at the Lake of the Ozarks, of course, right? But it's kind of an interesting county because here in Cole County it's rural, but the seat of government is here. Jefferson City, so you get an interesting mix of kind of establishment-y type person with like muddy boot farmers who show up to the meetings, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So moving here from Georgia, I actually lived in Atlanta before, so I've had the opportunity to live in 2 state capitals, and Jefferson City is very different than the Atlanta, Georgia state capital, and I very much enjoy Jefferson City more so.
So talk to me a little bit about, what it is that, the local Republican parties do. I mean, a lot of people are intimidated in terms of getting in politics. You got in about 4 or 5 years ago. They don't even know what goes on in local Republican Party politics because they just, most people show up to vote once every 4 years, and they don't know that if, in order to win elections, you have to be there more than every 4 years, show up more than once every 4 years, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so the local Republican club, what it is not only, I guess, from a voting standpoint, but it's an educational opportunity. And so we get the opportunity when you come to the meetings to be educated on both topics. You get the opportunity to come and be educated on the candidates themselves. So like our next meeting, we're planning on having all of our local representatives that are running for positions to show up at the March meeting so they can give you their viewpoints on what they're looking to do if they were to be elected. And so some people can go and do research. This is a great opportunity to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
Yeah. So, what about government efficiency on a state level versus county here? We're talking about the Department of Government Efficiency on the federal level, but some states are banding together to put together state-based initiatives. I saw here in Missouri we had someone put together a reporting line to report government waste. Do you approve of such tactics?
Well, that reminds me of the reporting line of COVID.
It does. It kind of freaks me out because it reminds me of when like public health wanted us to rat on our neighbors for there. But we're talking about government waste here. We're not talking about ratting on our neighbors for having a party in Cole County that had 12 kids at it instead of 10.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm all for increasing efficiency. I would absolutely support it. From the national level, I've been looking for this, and we've been being promised this for decades. And so anything we can get from a local level to start saving taxpayers money, I'm absolutely all for it. Increasing inefficiencies, having a guaranteed job for all of your life, no matter if you perform or not, not necessarily for that. And so I've seen similar circumstances, and I relate it back to my time when I was younger. I actually went to work in a automobile manufacturer's distribution facility, where the union was very much entrenched, so entrenched that they were almost more powerful than any of the management. And so people were actually able to go and take naps in racks and were defended by the union. And I relate that back, or I take that and look at the government. And while I don't think it's necessary to that extreme in most cases, there are definitely people out there who sit and read magazines all day. And I don't support our dollars being spent for that.
Yeah, it's tough because the problem of government is that the incentives are out of whack, right? When you're in the private market, you have a certain incentive. So, for example, remote work. This is a big question, right?
Yeah.
And it affects people who have regular jobs, corporate jobs. Amazon is demanding everybody come back to the office, return to work. It's a corporate private market initiative as much as it is a government initiative, but the incentives are different. I work from home entirely, but if I was lazy, if I didn't work my ass off when I'm here at home, I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't be able to work from home for very long. And it's the same with corporations to a certain extent. If you're not performing, corporations, they're monitoring you. If you think they're not, you're insane. But then when we suddenly say, when it comes to government employees, what is it you say you do here? To get one email and it says, what were the 5 things you accomplished last week? It doesn't seem like too much to ask to me.
I agree. It absolutely is not. And the crazy thing is only 1 million responded to that out of 4.45 million federal employees.
Fire them all. Fire them all.
And so, Austin, as a small business owner myself, I absolutely understand. If I don't get up and do my job, I go broke. And that's the key performance metrics right there.
Now, Glenn, our listeners, they're mostly like a liberty or a libertarian Republican, or some are even third-party libertarian guys. They're in the chat this morning, and they say hello, and they're glad that you're here.
Good morning, everyone.
Glad to have you here. I mean, the numbers on the show are climbing, so I guess you must be like the hot guest to get today.
Some days I have that potential.
Some people, like, you know, they get the Trump interview and they get the numbers. Me, I get the Glenn Reynolds here, and we get the big numbers over at Rumble. Join us by clicking the like button, guys, and follow the channel. The Wake Up America show is a 5-day-a-week live stream, Mondays through Fridays from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. So if you click the follow button, you'll get a notification whenever this show goes live. If you love freedom, if you love America, if you love your country, then you're in the right place, and you want to be a part of our liberty revolution here on the For Liberty Network. So click the like button on the feed, and then follow as well, so you can come back and join us 5 days a week. We want to be your friend. And don't forget, of course, too, to check out forlibertyshop.com. The Trump was right about everything hats are now in stock. Those are embroidered, beautiful hats, the best hats at forlibertyshop.com, as well as a variety of incredible products that you can't get anywhere else because I designed them. Me and Brad Beckman, who was also another Cole County guy. The Gulf of America collection is hot, hot, hot. As you can see, my American flag shark. Do you like my Gulf of America tumbler
the shark
here?
is awesome.
Yes, the U.S. flag shark. You can only get these at forlibertyshop.com. We have tumblers, the beach towels, 5-star rating, independently verified, very soft, very fluffy. You will be the coolest kid at the beach this summer if you have a Gulf of America shark beach towel. Comes in 2 sizes. Go to forlibertyshop.com. Glenn Reynolds, they say, I love America, I don't love 7 a.m. Well, you know, early birds do get the worm.
Absolutely.
What's happening here in Missouri? We're talking about getting rid of the income tax here in Missouri, Glenn. I testified on that a couple weeks ago. I was like, yeah, boy, the Democrats they kind of just my whole presence. They didn't like seeing me there. Did you see that video of me like getting dressed down by that Democratic senator for recording her?
I missed it, but I can just imagine how it was going down. And it seems like from the Democrats, anytime you try to take away their money, they get pretty defensive.
Yeah. Do you think we could do it though? I mean, Mike Kehoe, our new governor, has said that he would sign a bill to get rid of the income tax. So if there's no poison pills, could happen.
I think there's a possibility of it. Again, I always tend to go to show me the truth.
Yeah, show me. Yeah, show me. This is Missouri after all, right?
That's right. But I know there is definitely a lot of discussion going on about it, and there seems to be support, so I'm cautiously optimistic.
I am cautiously optimistic as well. If you're interested in hearing my testimony in favor of abolishing Missouri's income tax, make sure that you follow me over on X at AP4Liberty. I've got it pinned to the top of that account. You can see my testimony, and then underneath that is the video of Senator Barbara Washington, Democrat from Kansas City, just reading me the riot act for daring to record her, telling me she's going to sue me, threatening me, just for the simple act of pulling out a camera and recording her while she was engaged in an act of public service in public. So make sure you check that out at AP4Liberty. And then your handle over on X is
the _outdoor bum.
The THE outdoor _bum. So if you guys are following people over on X, make sure you follow at the outdoor bum. I've got that posted over in the Rumble chat at the _outdoor _bum. Everybody give him a follow right now. Show him the power.
Thank you.
Show him the power of this fully operational Death Star. It's the Wake Up America show, and our audience numbers are going up. You love to see it. What can we do with 400 people? We could start a revolution. 400 people is all you need to do an incredible amount. If we had 400 people in the Republican Party here in Cole County, Missouri, what could we do? I mean, we could take over.
My goodness, yes, absolutely. And it starts at the local level, just getting involved. When you start getting involved, your voices start to get heard. And when those voices start combining, it's just like a wave continuously building. And the next thing you know, we're crashing over and we're winning everything.
What would you say the issues are that people of Cole County are really interested in, right? Like because on the national level, people talk about immigration and the wall and things like that, which we don't really have a whole lot of say in. But what is it here in Cole County? What's the type of issue that is a bread and butter issue for a local voter, would you say? If you were running for election and you wanted to win some votes, if you wanted to win a local election, what issues would you run on?
So issues, if I'm running locally, from my school board standpoint, is quality of education. And that is something that's been affecting us from a national level, being pushed down onto the local level. So providing some pushback against that is very key within our, quite frankly, nationwide from a local level. Pushing back on things that maybe you don't necessarily agree with. And then from that, locally in Cole County, of course, we're a corporate town, the state government. So I would say we're pretty divided on that, though, from the private sector versus the state sector. Again,
But education, though, I mean, that really is a big one.
Absolutely.
It animates local voters. So, it's like most of my people, they tend to be pretty wonky. And so when I ask my audience, what are the issues that you really care about? Like ending the Fed, like let's audit gold in Fort Knox and things like that, which, great issues. I'm on board. Let's do it. But if you want to win elections, you have to think about what do the voters really care about? Where does the rubber hit the road? And boy, it really does. Just got the my first child, and she's going on 7 months old. Stephanie and I were talking about colleges. We're talking about schools. Excuse me, colleges. Not yet. But we ran into our local veterinarian, Dr. Jill Brady, over at the YMCA. Yeah. And Stephanie sees the patch of the Trinity High School patch on there, and neither one of us are Catholic. But we're having conversations about sending kids to Catholic school because it's like these are the good schools. And so school choice is something that we are really interested in. What do you think about school choice? Is that something that Republican voters tend to get behind? It can be pretty divisive, even on Republican circles.
Absolutely. It can be very divisive, but I like the idea of freedom in general. Now, my viewpoint on the school choice is I think if you're going to be given the money for the cost of your education to be able to go where you want, I tend to want to remove that from the public schools and allow it to be put towards the private sector because they have more leeway with hiring and the quality of people that get there. And I say that we have fantastic public school teachers, especially where I'm at. We're leading the state, quite frankly, in a lot of categories. But if you're someone who doesn't like your district and you want to take that money, if they're going to be giving out dollars for the school choice that looks like it may be passing, then I would encourage you to take those money, start looking at your local private schools. The big thing is the facilities and being able to handle any kind of overload that's coming in. But all of our kids deserve the best education they can get, and I would support that in almost any way.
I think school choice is a big issue. I think it's one that definitely it can divide some people in the Republican Party these days. It does have some potential cons. Not everything's perfect, but I think that school choice, if it goes nationwide, is the kind of thing that could improve outcomes for children. And it just, it's our money.
Absolutely.
It should follow the child, in my opinion.
Well, and with school choice, then that also offers up new key performance metrics for the teachers that we haven't necessarily had, because if people are consistently choosing to send their kids to a certain area, then you got to figure out what's going on. Why are they being driven there? Why are you getting the better results from those areas versus where you're at currently?
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, and I know many of you are for the very first time, good morning, guys. I'm Austin Peterson. This is the Wake Up America show. I'm speaking to Glenn Reynolds. Glenn is the VP of the local GOP, and he's joining us live in my little studio. It's really my shoe closet. And we're hanging out here today talking about local issues, talking about state issues, talking about federal issues as Republicans on the Wake Up America show. If you are a local like Andy Opperman or BB for Liberty, I know Joni Rankin, she's from Southwest Missouri. We get a lot of Missouri people watching the Wake Up America show. So I highly recommend that you follow at the Outdoor Bum. It's the _outdoor_bum. And that's Glenn Reynolds, my guest, who's joining us live right now. So how did you find me, Glenn? Because you called me up like December, and you're like, hey, we need, and you said the magic words, Glenn, because I never thought I would heard a Republican say this, but it's because, you know why? Because libertarians are so black-pilled. They're like, you can't change anything. Nothing ever happens. Doom, doom, doom. And you called me out of the blue and you said, I want to get libertarians more involved in the Republican Party. And you didn't just say that to me privately on the phone and I could be like, okay, fine. But then when you get to the meeting, no, you said that in front of the meeting to all of those Republicans. You said that in front of all of them. And I mean, a couple of them gave me dirty looks, but why? Why did you say that? Why did you do that? What was your mission? And are you trying to alienate everybody who thinks that I want to give drugs to kids or put prostitutes on the corner of Cole County, on every corner in Cole County?
No, absolutely not, Austin.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, I had kept your number when I ran for school board and had talked to you on your old show, and I just happened to have it in my phone. So we were looking to grow, and I thought I'd reach out to you and see what you had to say. And I truly do believe in freedom, with mild limitations on it. And I thought that. Given where we're at with Republicans, we have a lot of old guard Republicans, and we need some new, fresh ideas coming in. And I tend to fall within that libertarian-leaning side of the Republican Party, and I thought, who better to bring on from our local community than you? And so I reached out, and I'm not afraid to say my mind out there to people. Let them know what's going on, good, bad, or indifferent. You're going to know what you're getting from me.
Yeah, no, for sure. We've got so many people watching that I want to give the audience a chance to hang out. Here's the thing, Glenn, the numbers are shooting up. 600 almost now people watching the Wake Up America show live. I think we're about to cross. Yeah, wow, 600 and still climbing. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm Austin Peterson. Glenn, I want to give, the show's supposed to end at 9. I don't know, how much time have you allotted to hang out with me here this morning, Glenn?
I've got a few hours.
Oh, you can hang out.
I can hang.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give the audience a chance to go into overtime.
Okay.
And here's what I'm going to ask from the audience. If you'd like to see me and Glenn continue the show into overtime, then I'd like to ask the audience to drop some Rumble Rants right now. And if we can raise $20 in Rumble Rants, I think it's a fair amount, $20 in Rumble Rants, then the Wake Up America show will extend into our 9 a.m., past our 9 a.m. time. So I'm going to ask you guys now to drop those Rumble Rants right now. And since we have such a huge audience, I think that now is a good chance. If you don't mind, Glenn, I'm going to take a quick little break and talk to my friends about Patriot Addict. They're giving away Trump mystery boxes, absolutely free. No hidden charges, no recurring fees, none of that BS. All you have to do is cover the shipping for a Trump mystery box. Rumble hooked us up with. If you're interested, just scan the QR code that you can see popping up on your screen right now. See the little Trump and the little mystery box over there, that little QR code. Take a picture of it with your phone. If you're not already watching the phone, of course, on the show, that might be difficult. But if you're watching us on another device like a laptop or a TV, whip out your mobile phone and take a photograph of that QR code. You could unpack Trump gold bars, Trump socks, beanie hats, and who knows what else. Stocks are flying off the shelves, guys. Don't wait. Scan the QR code now and get your free Trump mystery box right now. Dang it, right now. And thank you to Rumble and Rumble Studio for making that connection so that we could get hooked up with Patriot Addict and share that with our audience this morning. Today, my friends, today, we dominate the internets. I don't know what it is about my guests, but I think people love hearing from local people as well. We're speaking to our friend Glenn Jacobs, and he's talking to us this morning about the Wake Up America show's quest for liberty on the local level. Glenn Reynolds, excuse me. Glenn Jacobs is the wrestler from Knox County, Tennessee, aka Kane. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. Yeah, he's offered to help break into Fort Knox if anybody won't let him in there as his alter ego, Kane, professional wrestler. Andy Opperman spent all his cash earlier, he says, but he wants the bonus time. That's cool. We raised $1. And all we need is 19 more dollars by there we go, 5, 6, so $6 raised. There we go, Derek. All we got to raise is like another $15 or so, and we will hit the bonus amount, and we will go overtime this morning past our 9 a.m. deadline. I've got a lot of content to talk about, a lot of things to react to, and I think that since we've got our friend Glenn here, let's do some reactions. What do you say? You ready?
I'm in.
All right. This is Donald Trump admiring a map of the newly renamed Gulf of America.
And if you look at that shoreline, look at that shoreline. Look, from Florida, well, most of it is, it's called America. And vast majority, like big numbers. So I'm just admiring it as I look at it. I'm getting teary-eyed, but I don't want you to say Trump broke down and started crying.
There's RFK.
No, how beautiful is that? Look at the shoreline. Look at that. That's America.
There it is. Your reaction to the Gulf of America renaming?
It's the best Gulf in the world. There's none better. None. The Indian Ocean, the Indian Gulf, none of them. Gulf of California. The Gulf of America is the best one in the world.
I thought it was brilliant. L-Dubs and Drew Van Runkle, they just donated 10 and 10. Thanks, guys. You got your bonus.
Hey, just so, the only thing I'd like to see a little bit more on this fantastic Gulf of America thing is Trump sitting on the top with his AR-15 shooting off.
Great idea! Great idea! Great idea. You can get your Gulf of America 20-ounce tumblers, guys, at forlibertyshop.com. And thank you for all your support. Thank you, Rumble, for featuring us. Oh, my God, there's so many people watching the Wake Up America show right now. We're not used to this, guys. We're a pretty small, we're a tight-knit community, but we're small. There's 2,300 people watching the Wake Up, 2,400 watching the Wake Up America show live. Good morning, guys. I think since the audience probably tuned in and we probably got shared because of the title today, we were talking about Elon Musk and his sense of humor. I'm going to go ahead and replay it because the audience, these people haven't seen it yet. But this is Elon Musk talking about why he decided to get involved in the fight for liberty, why he decided to join the Trump team in many ways. And to me, it feels like a stand-up comedy bit. And we'll get your reaction when it's over. Let's listen to it now.
Some of them are, I guess, like kind of funny. There's, we had to do this. SpaceX had to do the study to see if Starship would hit a shark, and I'm like, it's a big ocean, there's a lot of sharks. It's not impossible, but it's very unlikely. We said, okay, fine, we'll do the analysis, and then, well, can you give us the shark data? They're like, no, we can't give you the shark data. Well, like, okay, well, then we're in a bit of a quandary. How do we solve this this shark probability issue? And they said, well, we could give it to our Western division, but we don't trust them. And I'm like, am I in a comedy sketch here? So eventually, I think we got the data and we could run the analysis to say, like, yeah, the sharks are going to be fine. But they wouldn't let us proceed with launch until we did this crazy shark data. And then we thought, okay, now we're done. And they said, but what about whales? I'm like, when you look at a picture of the Pacific, what percentage of the surface area of the Pacific do you see as whale? Because I look at a picture, I don't see any. It's like, you can't. Where's a whale? And honestly, if the ship did hit a whale, it's like, honestly, that whale had it coming, because it's like the odds are so low.
Yep.
It's like Final Destination, the whale edition. It's like fate had it in for that whale, and so we had to do the whale analysis. And it's like, okay, yeah, the whales will be fine too, It goes on. And then there's like, well, what if the rocket goes underwater, then explodes, and then the whales have hearing damage? Like, this is real. This is actually, and we're like, look, if we could make a rocket go underwater and be a submarine, that would be like a feat of physics we could not accomplish, okay? This is not how it works. So anyway, just one like crazy thing after another, where so this is why I'm really feeling the pain of the overregulation.
Your reaction?
Oh my gosh!
I mean, that was a real story.
That is. Oh my gosh! So two things come to mind.
Go.
Paying taxes and trying to pick how much you have to pay, because the government knows, but maybe you don't. But if you don't pay enough, then they're going to tell you how much you owe. And that reminds me of that so much. And the other thing is a pet peeve of mine is gas storage containers. They are never.
Oh my God, they're the worst.
The worst.
I spill more gas
trying to deal with it.
From the no spill lids.
Absolutely. I want Elon to get into the EPA and work his magic there.
Dude, there is a cottage industry that is actually built up around. If you go to Amazon, you can buy the kits to convert your gas tanks.
I have contemplated working on that one myself.
I have too. It's ridiculous. Everybody has to do. But I mean, Elon, think about that. We have to deal with that on the everyday shit we have to put up with the government. In New Jersey, for example, they can't even pump their own gas. And then you've got Elon at literally the space level. He's trying to get to Mars, and they're forcing him to do research to find out whether or not his shuttles may come down, hit the Pacific Ocean, and potentially hit a shark. And he has to do the data on this. Now, the fascinating thing about this, though, is to tie this into policy, is that there was this case called the Chevron deference case. Are you familiar with this?
I'm not. Why don't you quick enlighten me?
This was a Supreme Court case that overturned a precedent that, and it came about because of lobster fishermen in Maine, and the concept is that the federal government forced the lobster fishermen to have like an EPA or an FDA regulator on the boat, and they had to pay for the regulator to be on their boat, all of the fees and their salary and everything, so that they pay the government to have an official on their boat to regulate them, right? And so this is overturned in the Chevron deference. This has been overturned because what it did was the federal government had an establishment essentially where when it was the bureaucracy versus the individual, right? When it came to the government, the deference was always to the government agency if the court didn't understand the subject matter, right? If the lawmakers necessarily wrote a bill that was too obtuse to be understood, and a judge couldn't make a case, they would defer to the bureaucratic regulatory agency. Okay. The Chevron deference was that you had to defer to the bureaucracy to set the rule. Well, the bureaucracy set the rule that the Maine lobstermen had to have the regulator in the boat. The Supreme Court overturned this.
Thankfully.
Yes, and so we're in a scenario now where it may be the case that if Elon were to take this did we blow up the sharks thing to court, he could use the Chevron deference, the precedent that was set by overturning the deference, and say, you can't force me to come up with the shark reports. How often does a space shuttle? I mean, how often does NASA their rockets? I mean, how often are they launching things? Yeah, but I mean, it's sad that this is what it took to get Elon on our side, but he's fighting for his own liberty, and that's fine. He's fighting for ours as well. The Department of Government Efficiency, I mean, it kind of is truly the culmination of what you and I believe, what people like you and I believe, Liberty Republicans believe. It's shocking that it's actually happening, and it's shocking that Elon Musk, the left doesn't like our billionaires. They like the Soros billionaires, but the millionaires and billionaires, on our side, they don't care for.
Well, I think it comes down to the donation of money and who's getting that money at some point. But I do want to tell you about one on the local level, the personal experience that I have with what I feel like was a pretty significant waste of government. So I have a pressure washing business, and when we go to wash homes, I have a 500-gallon water tank on my trailer. And so we do a lot of work down at the lake, and I had someone from the Department of Natural Resources follow me from Jefferson City down to the Lake of the Ozarks, so about an hour each way, because he saw a 500-gallon water tank on my trailer, and he just wanted to make sure that I wasn't spraying some chemicals randomly without a permit.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Thank you, Norm Macdonald. Rest in peace.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, I look at that and I go, really? Could you have done something a little bit more efficiently than that? Or at least tried to get me stopped before you drove an hour each way out of your way to waste time and gas.
It's so annoying, the taxpayer dollars, the waste of taxpayer dollars, and these unnecessary regulations. It's the hall monitors, right? Everything like adulthood is like high school, right? The people who were the hall monitors, the snitches, right? They all went into government so they could get into power, so they could create the snitch list like they did here in Cole County. Do you remember?
Oh, I do. My favorite part was when you freedom of
FOIA'd.
information. You FOIA'd it and started calling people out. I laughed so hard and clapped.
Brother. So good morning, everybody. If you're just tuning in to the Wake Up America show, I'm Austin Peterson. I was formerly the radio host for the local radio network here in Jefferson City, Missouri. I did a talk show in the mornings until I started my own network and my show here. But there was a time during COVID when on the radio, when we had the local health agency, they had set up a report line, a tip line to report if anybody was going against the COVID regulations that were laid down, which here in Cole County, we had some. It was like businesses did for like 2 weeks. We did like the 2 weeks to slow the spread. Businesses did shut down for a couple of weeks, and people were calling into the show. And saying, hey, like the florist, for example, they're like, hey, this is harmful to my business. We need to reopen. And I remember that the local health agencies set up a tip line to report if anybody were having, it was literally parties at our own houses. Like the sheriff was supposed to go to door and count the number of people if you were having too many people over at your house. That was the COVID regulations we had here. It didn't last long. But I wonder if it didn't last long because Sunshine requested, people didn't know when they were reporting that their information is kept by the government and that information can be FOIA'd. So then I started reading. Bro, people were calling into the station that day saying, please, God, please do not do that. Do not release that. People were so scared. And why were they scared? Because they were snitching. Because they were little Stasi, little Gestapo bitches reporting on their neighbors here.
I still think we should have a yearly reading of that list.
Now, come on. You're like the people who are dancing on Joy Reid's grave over there, no longer at MSNBC. Oh, no longer at MSNBC. I'm laughing really hard, though, at Greg Gutfeld's monologue where he eulogized Joy Reid in her final, her send-off. Here's what our friend over at Fox, Greg Gutfeld, had to say about Joy Reid being out at MSNBC.
Sad moment for the show. Joy Reid is out. Of course, we're heartbroken, for she provided this show with more material than a seamstress at The View.
That's the best fat joke I think I've ever heard. Provided us with more material than a seamstress at The View. Oh, my God.
On slow news days, Joy was always there to help with a racist rant. Oh, I loved her. Remember these golden oldies?
We do have a fascist groundswell in parts of this country, mainly among white men. What they're saying is we own this country and everyone will bow down to us.
In America, there's a thing about both white vigilantism and white tears, particularly male white tears.
Now, I don't like to use hyperbole, but Joy's firing is the biggest blow to racists since the Confederacy lost. Because not only did cable news lose a bigot, but the bigot herself might finally get the round-the-clock care that she really needs. But you got to wonder how she was able to last this long. The irony, of course, is in her name, for did Joy bring any joy to anyone's life? No. I didn't know this was a call and response show. But think about it. I'm willing to bet no one ever said, I was going through a tough period in my life, and listening to Joy Reid really got me through it. If anything, it was their tough periods in life that got them through Joy Reid. But that's the problem with MSNBC and legacy media. Their income was based on making life worse. Instead of focusing on real stuff, they created hoaxes, ones that sowed division and hopelessness.
Let's talk about that for just a moment because, you're the VP of the local GOP here. Let's talk about this idea, when Trump won the first 30 days, there were a lot of people who were on our side that are some of them still anti-Trump, but some of them, they just didn't believe that Trump would drain the swamp. I was at the Echo Lounge. I was telling the story earlier, and I heard some guy sitting at the bar, and he says, Trump's not going to drain the swamp. Just doom,
Yep.
right? People who are, and then, they don't want any, they're not happy about the way things are. They don't think that anything's going to change, so they try and bring other people down. And then there are just the grifters, who are the anti-Trump people, who they bet against Trump, and now they don't want him to succeed because then they look like assholes. But in terms of the left and the media, a lot of this has been brainwashing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of this has been that the legacy media, right, the people who don't want people watching the Wake Up America show and hanging out with you and me here in the mornings, right? They want you watching MSNBC or Morning Joe or wherever the hell it is. They want us demoralized. They don't want us to think that we can make America great again, because that goes against their progressive agenda. But I wasn't demoralized. I voted for Trump. And you know what? They say, like, is this what you voted for? Hell yes, this is what I voted for. Is it what you voted for?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, yeah, but I can understand the demoralization of people in the past, because most of our politicians that we've had have ran on empty promises. And even Trump, somewhat to an extent, about draining the swamp in his first term. He didn't do what a lot of people were hoping for, but I think he didn't quite understand what he was getting into and how entrenched this was. But given the last 8 years that he's had to go through personally, I'd say he's probably on a little bit of a vendetta to make sure that we do get things cleaned up.
It's always really tough when you get a big audience to hold on to it. So I'm really thankful. We still got 1,082 people watching the Wake Up America show live. We are in overtime this morning. But I want to make sure that people who are watching this show, that we have the best chance to capture you, and while we have your attention, that you become a regular guest of this show. I know you're going to love it. If you're enjoying this conversation with me and my friend Glenn, he's a local VP of the local Republican Party. We're talking local politics and national politics and tying it all together. These are the kinds of great segments that you get with the Wake Up America show. And I had a conversation with Judge Andrew Napolitano from Newsmax earlier on the show as well. We have incredible guests. We have great topics. We have the best clips to make sure that you're informed. And there's no doom scrolling here. We keep it positive. We keep it upbeat. We give you a hope for a better America, for a brighter America. It really is morning in America again on the Wake Up America show with our friends. So introduce yourself. Drop a comment in the chat. You can see Drew Van Runkle, Whitey White 14, Sign of Jonah, Dad Bod Baboon, Joni Rankin, BB for Liberty, Maha Singh, first time joining us here. Nice to see you. Andy Opperman. You get to hang out with all the regulars. It's a motley crew of freedom fighters. It's like the Mos Eisley Cantina from Star Wars. If you've seen it, Brad Beckman hasn't seen it. What's wrong with you, Brad? You're fired. No, just kidding. Official employee intimidation and harassment. No. Andy Opperman actually in the chat. Okay, guys, stop booing. Asked, what is the business name, your power washing business name?
Central Missouri Power Wash.
Central Missouri Power Wash. Are you wearing the hoodie there?
I don't know if you can see it very well, but
you're getting a good advertisement today with 1,000 people watching the Wake Up America show. Central Missouri Power Wash.
Thank you. I will take all the advertising we can get.
That's Republicans for you here. We're freaking free market hardcore capitalists. Well, I've been glad to have my guest joining me live here on the show. He's the first guest that we've had in studio. We've been talking this morning about Elon Musk and his comedy tour, Joy Reid out at MSNBC. We've been talking about Donald Trump naming the Gulf of Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America, and talking about liberty at the local level, getting more people activated and getting involved in local politics, which really matters. So if these are the kinds of issues, if these are the kinds of things you say to yourself, that is a show that I want, that kind of content I want to be having in the morning. A positive, upbeat, stay PG to PG-13. Sometimes it's rated R but I always warn the audience whenever it gets a little rated R, so you can turn it down if you have kids in the car. We do try to keep it as family friendly as possible, but you know, that one character said on the Ellen show, I love Jesus, but I drink a little, right? But I cuss a little. So make the Wake Up America show part of your destination listening in the morning. So when you click the like button, you'll see the follow button as well. Click the follow button and join me, as well as 2 other shows in our network. Yes, a network. The For Liberty Network consists of 3 shows. It's me, it's Daniela Pensack on Culturama, and it is Liberty Tonight, hosted by Brian Piotr and the benevolent dictator, the king of all libertarians, Tuesdays and Thursday nights. So we've got a great lineup, tons of content. You definitely want to be a part of it. So drop a comment, click the follow button, and join us Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's the Wake Up America show. Now, real quick, I want to remind you guys about Rumble's premium offerings, especially because next month, Stephanie and I will be obligated as a part of our creator services agreement. We have now partnered with Rumble as part of their creator program. We are going to create at least 5 hours of new, fresh, exclusive content coming in March. So it's going to be in addition to the Wake Up America show, brand new content coming for you, and it's coming this next week. So you guys want to keep an eye out for it, but in order to watch it, you have to be a member of Rumble's premium services, which is what I'm talking about right now. So Rumble, they have been getting our backs since we started this show. When YouTube demonetized me, Rumble stepped up. Look at the 1,000 people who are watching this show right now. YouTube would never let me reach this much of my audience. Never. But Rumble actively promotes me. Why? Because they believe in my mission. They don't gain necessarily a whole lot by supporting a small creator like me. They could spend all their time on Russell Brand and, Dan Bongino, who just became the deputy director of the FBI. Congratulations. Yes, thank you.
Heck yeah.
Go, Dan. They could spend all their time and energy and money on Tucker Carlson and all those guys, but no, they actually said, hey, Austin, Stephanie, you're a small family business. You're trying to start a network. We support you. And by God, they certainly have. Without Rumble, the Wake Up America show would not be what it is today. There would be no For Liberty Network without Rumble and locals. So if you want to see the fresh content, Stephanie and I have announcement about that and what that content's going to be. You'll find out Friday. So keep an eye out on the show Friday. We'll make an announcement about the new exclusive content that's coming. But in order to watch it, you have to be a premium subscriber to Rumble. This is different than the sub that you have to my channel. I know many of you are subs to my channel, and I appreciate that, and thank you for your monthly support. But if you want to be able to watch the fresh, exclusive content, Rumble only, you'll need to join their Rumble Premium thing. And you could do that by going to rumble.com/premium and using the promo code STUDIO. You'll get a 10% discount. Go to rumble.com/premium, use promo code STUDIO. Click the like button, say thank you to Rumble for supporting conservatives and libertarians and small businesses. They actually care about the small creator. I'm very grateful to have my friend Glenn Reynolds still here in studio with us. It's 9:15, which means in theory we could leave.
I'm here for how long we need to be.
Okay, but I'm going to give them an opportunity to say, and we're going to say in another 5 minutes, if we can raise another $20, either in Rumble Rants or in gifted subs, then we'll give them another 20 minutes or so. What do you say?
I'm in.
Okay, so here's the thing. I do have to take a little break. I have to go pee for liberty. Thank you, Alexander McCarthy says, don't ghost me like my date on prom night. Alex from Raising Sales, love what you guys are doing at Wake Up America. Keep the fight going. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Can you bless me with something? Malloy D. Sparks.
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise.
Bless us with something. If we can raise another $20 during the quick commercial break, guys, while I use the restroom real quick, we will go for another 15 to 20 minutes. Do you want the show to continue? Okay. Then get like Alexander McCarthy and support the Wake Up America show and the For Liberty Network with your dollars. Bless me with something.
Can you bless me with something?
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise.
And if you don't,
But it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
all right, slide a few bucks in, guys. And again, if we hit $20, then we will, you guys will unlock another 20 minutes of the show. Thank you for all that you're doing. BB for Liberty, $5 in, only $15 left to go. We're going to go to commercial break. We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. That's it. And
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Do you hate the deep state?
Yeah. Can you just talk to us? Are you still no? Is there anything?
They convinced me in there. I'm a no.
Is there anything?
Look what, let me, their own numbers. If the Republican plan passes under the rosiest assumptions, which aren't even true, we're going to add $328 billion to the deficit this year. We're going to add $295 billion to the deficit the year after that, and $242 billion to the deficit after that, under the rosiest assumptions. Why would I vote for that?
Were you solidly a no?
Yeah, they convinced me. I was a lean no until this meeting. Now I'm a no.
This no confirmed.
This is a no.
Why? Why?
They're talking points. Look. These are not something I made up. This is the leadership's talking points. It adds $328 billion to the deficit. It adds $295 billion to the deficit the year after that. The only way they get to this magic thing where it's not going to kill our country is 5 years from now, they imagine that 2.5% growth accumulates. And that even right here, they say they're going to cap discretionary spending. You think we're going to cap discretionary spending and then spend?
Makes no sense. The great Thomas Massey. Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show, and that's on the For Liberty Network. Joining us now, the VP of the local GOP, Glenn Reynolds. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you.
So, yeah, spending out of control. Been out of control for years. Been being promised to have that reined in since I was a kid. Reagan talked about it. And I guess how many $100 bills does it take to get to the moon?
Well, it's like the question, yeah. The question is that, how do we do this? The processes by which we cut spending, because the Trump administration's on board. If the Congress could actually get on board, that would be nice. But it feels as if the problem now is not the executive branch. The problem's all coming from our representatives and our members of Congress. Now, I don't know how Dr. Bob Onder voted on this bill. I'll have to check, but I do know that on the Senate side of things, it was Rand Paul, I think. No, Eric Schmidt, our senator, one of our senators, not two of our senators, one of our senators voted for the actual spending cuts on the Senate side of these things. The problem's in Congress, isn't it?
I think a lot of it is. I think we've started to get the executive branch in line here with what needs to be happening. And again, and I say all this with, I feel for the individuals as they lose as many of them will be losing their jobs. But this can't be a personal thing. Unfortunately, as a business, you have to go in and look at things. And when there's that much bloat and you're going over a cliff, you got to make a decision. And those decisions are hard, and it's going to hurt some people. So now when you get to the legislative branch, again, you're dealing with a lot of people who have become, quite frankly, as far as I can see, become accustomed to having a lot of money. And then you look at the dollars that were added during the COVID time frame. When you add that and then you make that your baseline spending, I mean, there's something that's wrong there. You never pulled back that spending from the big pump to try and overcome the pandemic. And so when you don't make adjustments, things get really hard. And it's difficult to deal with, but it's something that we have to now, or if we kick the can down the road, our country is over the cliff.
Yeah, and when it comes to the state level here, we have all this money in Missouri. It's all this bloat of cash, right? And they're lining up at the trough to spend it here. But I mean, it's tough for us to get politicians to commit to spending cuts here in the state of Missouri because they look at that. What do we call the fund? It's not a rainy day fund. It should be a rainy day fund.
Yeah, it should be.
But we got like $1 billion or $2 billion sitting around, and they're just lining up to try and spend it. We ought to save it for a rainy day.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And so the other thing too is your baseline budgeting. Is there any way that we can go to an actual budgeting dollar amount instead of a baseline 5% increase?
Well, yeah, it should be. We should do zero-based budgeting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It should just be that just like what they're trying to do with Doge. What is it that you say you do here, right? It should be that they start with a budget of zero and then justify your budget. That's how it should be. If it was in the private market, if I had divisions of a company, right, instead of a boutique little business here with just a few people, I would periodically, probably quarterly, audit each division, and if they have a budget, do a zero-based budget and say everybody has to justify it. I mean, now there are corporations that operate on a bit of a different model, and it's like if you don't spend your budget, you lose it in a way.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I have a problem with that itself. Why not, if you don't spend the money, you take that money and set it back aside for your major projects, your capital projects, things like that. Reel it back in and use it for from a productive manner versus just blowing it out to be blowing it out. In my past, I was in sales, and one of the key times that you were taught to capitalize on in sales was right towards the end of the fiscal year, because these people have a lot of money that they want to spend, so to speak, to keep their budget versus it getting reduced. And when you go through and do that, you're throwing money away, and it's not okay. Especially because, I mean, all your listeners, I'm sure, know, but all the money that the government spends is our money. It is our money.
Yeah, there's no such thing as government money. It's all our money.
That's right. And so this $5,000 that we potentially are getting back, I like the idea of it, but I would rather it see being taken and moved towards the debt versus and I can kind of understand maybe you want to benefit the people who are out there, but from a realistic standpoint, this is just me looking at hard dollars and cents. The money needs to go towards the repayment of the debt and driving that number down, because when you do that, that's going to increase the strength of our dollar. That's going to increase the our standing in the world that has been slipping for a while. There's a lot that comes from a solid financial backing.
Yeah. The thing about regulations is that it's insidious. You know, there are people who feel the pains of regulation, and then there are the people who don't feel the pains of regulations. They don't know, like, for example, why you have to charge a certain fee. You know, they're probably, have you ever had people complain about the price of your service, for example?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's different things that affect that, and different winners that governments choose. Like some people, and I just say this out loud, some people are hire felons and they get dollar incentives, dollars to hire, to employ those individuals. And I have mixed emotions about that, giving people a second chance. I absolutely support that. But also from people who are competing against that, who want to hire and I say this in quotation marks, higher quality individuals that maybe have not had that problem, which are typically tend to be a little bit better bet on it. You have to pay them more, and so then my service is going to cost more. But then when you compare the different services, well, what are you going to get? And people a lot of times only look at the bottom dollar amount.
No, that's true. I mean, I had somebody complain about prices. Somebody complained about our prices on our shop the other day. And I mean, first of all, they were just outraged at the price of, I can't remember, it was like a towel or something like that. One of our Gulf of America beach towels, maybe. And they were just really angry at it. So wrote this letter like, how dare you charge this? And it was like a pillow, I think, too. They were very mad about the price of the pillow. And I'm just kind of like, first of all, I'm like, well, we're not selling insulin here. You know, it's not like I'm selling like, you know, it's novelties and fun. I mean, I need my coffee, and I need tea. So, you know, maybe you could make an argument for that. My tea is a human right that must be paid for by the taxpayer. The government of Missouri should buy Founding Flavors coffee distributed to the people, for all the poor people who can't afford Founding Flavors. There we go.
Man.
What do you say? Yay?
Oh,
Yep.
man. I might be able to get on board for one exception.
There it is. You see just one exception.
And then the floodgates open.
Everybody else gets it. That's how it works, though, right? The cronyism. Some people say, you know, oh, well, my product needs to be provided as a service, so therefore I should do it. It's like, you know, one of the Doge cuts that they made in the federal level were these subscriptions to software for things. Do you know what WinZip is? Are you old enough to know what WinZip is? I think you're younger than me, actually.
No, I'm older than you, but I've heard of it. It's been a while.
Okay, WinZip was like an extraction program that you use to unzip like a file folder.
Oh, yes,
you know,
yes,
whenever
yes.
you have like a bunch of files put together, WinZip is what you used to use back in like, was it Windows 98 or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even Windows 95. Well, the federal government's still paying for WinZip licenses. And now that software is built into the technology. And some people are like, oh, well, there's some encryption to it. Okay, yeah, no, I get it. But there was like subscriptions to like news magazines, like Politico and things like that. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but like, you know, here in Cole County, I don't necessarily think that Cole County taxpayers should pay for presiding commissioner Sam Bushman's, you know, subscription to the local Jefferson City Tribune or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah.
That if I tried to get that for my company, the IRS would not necessarily like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I get to get away with it because I'm in the news business. Write it off. But when it comes to the taxpayer dollars, there's got to be. It's just like, you ever see those ads for like Rocket Money, where you know how do you have like Disney Plus or Netflix or any of those subscriptions?
No, I cut out cable and everything. I get my news from what you call YouTube
and good for you. Facebook and X and all that kind of stuff. Good for you. Well, the thing is that all of these legacy media institutions, a lot of their money came from these subscriptions. It's kind of like Politico and different things.
Right, and USAID.
Yeah, right, exactly. USAID, right? It's like they're not gonna miss it. Not gonna miss that money.
Man, yeah, that was so full of waste and fraud and abuse from what I can see, at least what's been presented out there, and I'm very appalled. Of course, you're looking at these things, and if you've been following this stuff for years and years, you think, my goodness, they keep growing. And I'll tell you, the government, pretty much, well, in the private sector, they ask us, let's do more with less. Let's do more with less. That's just a business philosophy. Well, the government is asking the taxpayers to do more with less in our personal lives because they keep wanting to increase our tax cost, our tax burden. Well, what's that going to? Well, all this grift and abuse for them to fund their pet projects or send to other countries. And then what happens with the top line of that?
This is big news. It's related to what we're talking about just now this morning. Jeff Bezos of Amazon.com just posted this. This is huge because this is exactly what we're talking about. The media, the legacy media, and their influence on elections and the money, the dirty money that goes around. I mean, you saw Jeff Bezos didn't endorse Trump. They didn't endorse anybody, the Washington Post, before the election. And he got all kinds of shit. He was in such big trouble. Then he appeared at the inauguration. He was in huge trouble. He's in deep shit now with the left. Listen to this. Okay, this is he says, I shared this note with the Washington Post team this morning. I'm writing to let you know about a change coming to our opinion pages. We are going to be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars. Now remember, their democracy dies in darkness is what the Washington Post's thing is. This is their new two pillars. Personal liberties and free markets.
Yes.
Dude,
I am so excited.
Dude, we'll cover other topics too, of course, but viewpoints opposing those pillars will be left to be published by others. Oh my God. The left right now, the left this morning, I can't wait to read the comments. I can't wait to read the comments.
Where's your liberal tears cup at?
Listen to this. They need to hire, the Washington Post needs to buy the For Liberty Network. It says, I'm confident that free markets and personal liberties are right for America. I believe these viewpoints are underserved in the current market. I've got to compete with the Washington Post. No, get out. No, this is my turf, Jeff Bezos. I better not go. I try not to compete with Jeff Bezos. He says, I'm of America and for America and proud to be so. Our country did not get here by being typical. And a big part of America's success has been freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else. Freedom is ethical. It minimizes coercion. Jesus, is this some Murray Rothbard, Friedrich Hayek, libertarian psychopath? He says freedom is also practical. It drives creativity, invention, and prosperity. Oh my God, bro.
I love it.
That's insane, dude.
I love it.
That's Jeff Bezos.
So with that,
I don't know if I believe him, but sure, it sounds good.
It sounds good. Again, show us. But man, you take that, you start giving people their individual freedoms, and that's where you get the cream of the crop rising to the top. That takes me back to my days of wrestling. If you worked harder than your opponent, you beat them. And that's the same application in the free market.
Glenn, talk to us about the local Cole County Republican Club. I know that we've got meetings you wanted to share. Now's your chance. Go.
All right, fantastic. So we have a once a month meeting for the Cole County Republican Club. We have that every third Thursday at 6 o'clock, usually at the Clydesdale Room at the Shepherd's Distribution Center. Come to it. We'll get you on the list so you can get sent the emails to remind you. Very exciting. I hope to see you all there.
It's been a fantastic show. I mean, we went into overtime, 9:30 to 30 extra minutes here. We all need to say thank you to our buddy Glenn. Make sure you follow him over on X.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, we ended up having like 2,000 people watching us live this morning. We ended up capturing about 600 of them who decided to stick around. They liked us so much. I want to see you tomorrow. So click that like button underneath the video and then the follow button as well. This is a 5-day-a-week show. So you're in for a penny, in for a pound. You got to join us again tomorrow morning. And then Friday, we've got special announcements galore. Thirsty Thursdays tomorrow. But we've actually upgraded the Thursday show. It used to just be Thirsty Thursday where we bring on the beautiful ladies of liberty in the second hour of the show. But now it's actually a royal Thirsty Thursday. Not like a royal flush, right? You don't want to flush my 7:30 guest tomorrow morning when the benevolent dictator, the monarch, the king of all libertarians joins us live tomorrow morning at 7:30. And then it gets thirsty, very thirsty. So grab your 20-ounce Sculpt of America tumbler and join me tomorrow morning right back here again for a royal Thirsty Thursday. You know, you're going to get to see the lovely ladies of liberty, Camellia and Daniela, and of course my beautiful face here on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Who's going to be here tomorrow, huh? Raise your hands. We're going to be here tomorrow. Rumble.com/AP for Liberty. Yep. All right. All right, well, one last thing before I go. My friends at Rumble wanted me to remind you real quick about Patriot Addict. One more time, guys, it's a great place to go to get free Trump mystery boxes. Absolutely free. No hidden charges, no recurring fees, none of that BS. Just cover shipping. A Trump mystery box. Give it to your friends, give it to your neighbors, give it to your liberal aunts. Imagine unpacking Trump gold bars, Trump socks, Trump beanie hats, and who knows what else. They're flying off the shelves. Don't wait. Scan the QR code that you see on your screen right now. Get your free Trump mystery box and support Rumble and our sponsors. Thank you. Scan that QR code for your very own free Trump mystery box. And we'll see you guys right back again here tomorrow. Any final words?
Live free.
Live free or die, baby. It's the Wake Up America show. We'll see you here tomorrow on the For Liberty Network. Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your Founding Flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.